Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Journal of a Human. If you're watching video form, I apologize for this slick Rick back of mine. I just got done my workout and I wanted to make this in time. So, yeah, yeah, a little slimy, a little grimy. Today, I got an interesting one from you. Um, yeah, I don't even know how to start this one. Let's start off with my name is Paul Marlowe. I am the founder of Never Alone, a mental health brand. And I like to talk about all things as if an influencer would, except I'm trying to talk about the good and the bad and not just show the highlight of my life. There's a lot of my focus here. There's a lot of my focus with Never Alone and everything I do. Um, Trying to show this human side of things, which I believe a lot of people do. However, we hide the things that embarrass us, and the stuff that embarrass us has a lot to do with mental health. And I think these are the things that are good to be brought out into public. And today is one of those things for me. Um, I'm going to read you a little bit from my journal that has Never Alone on it. A failed business venture of mine already, failing a lot. I can tell you that much. This was from this morning, actually. January 14th, 2022. While recording a podcast yesterday, a question came up on how much do I miss my dad? My reply was, I don't think about him daily that way, which is true. But the last night in bed, I was thinking about TP, Tall Paul, my new tall men's fashion website, and its recent success. And then I looked at dad's photo and I spoke out loud to him, talking about how he would read the initial blog post I made for Tall Paul Fitness. You'll notice I used Tall Paul in all my branding. Kind of egotistic, I understand this. He would call me up to say he read it, talking about it in detail, and he was proud, and I was proud. That was my input for this morning. One page. Let me go over a bit of this just to give you some more context. My dad passed away in 2018. I have a photo of him that my mother gave me, I believe, maybe a year and a half after his passing, of him smiling and glasses, an iconic photo of my dad, probably in his 40s. And that photo actually did a lot for me mentally. Yeah, I couldn't get out of the funk. Um, I think at that time before I got that photo, I wasn't willing to accept he passed. I knew he wasn't there. I wasn't faking that he was still alive. I just didn't want to accept the emotions of it. And her giving me that photo kind of made me do that. And it was great. I was glad I got the photo. So now I keep the photo on my bedside table. Actually, on my recent trip to Europe for 2 months, I took it with me. Um, I'm not too sure about that one long term, what I'm going to do with it, but he will always be my personal resident stay at some place for sure. But the second part of that was the success with TP and him reading my old Tall Paul Fitness blogs. Tall Paul Fitness, I started a blog, two blogs. This is my first failure 8 years ago, one on fitness and one on men's fashion. Kind of what I'm doing today, just had a better plan now. Back then, didn't have a plan at all, and I created two separate websites and I wrote two separate blogs, and neither of them got traffic for a year. And I spent a lot of time, but the friends and family who did follow, and I did send them out emails saying, "Hey, here's my new email." Um, they would, most of them would read it, at least at the start. The thing is, my dad and mom read them all the way through, and I was a personal trainer at this time. And I remember he would call me up and say like, "Hey, I read your blog. I like this part." Da 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 da. And a bit further on down the road was when his Parkinson's started kicking in, I believe. I think we weren't too sure when it kicked in. And I think I was still sending some blogs out at that time. And he would call me and he'd ask to see them because he couldn't figure out how to do it. I'm probably going to tear up during this. And I would help him over the phone go through the internet because his brain wasn't firing as well as it was before, and to figure out where to find the blog and how to read it and click through. It was just something that he appreciated that I was working hard at and doing these things. Um, Whereas before with my athletic career, I had a shit ton of talent and I had potential. I just didn't have the work ethic. And I knew he saw that in me. And I didn't know till later that he saw that in me, but I realized it after. Um, so I had like 10, 15 years of being a stud athlete, but not working hard. And then I had like a year of setting off on a goal to create a blog and to learn SEO 7 years ago. And I think he even respected that more than what I did with my athletic career because I was working at something to better myself. Um, and at that time, I did recognize it. But now it means so much more to me because what I've created with Never Alone and the new website, I have started building something off of this writings and understanding the business aspect and SBO aspect and then the branding aspect and the community aspect and all these other things. And I don't know, I wish he was here to see that. And I don't say that, like I said in the podcast yesterday, I tend to go against the saying that people say I miss them every day. I think about them every day. Um, I personally, throughout my day, he doesn't come up just randomly often. When I go to bed at night and when I wake up in the morning, I see him on my bedside table, and I now say good morning, good night, and I talk a bit, and I recognize him there, and I think about him. So I'm glad he's there for that reason, because throughout the day, I don't really. And I was up until yesterday, I thought that was just because I don't know what I thought that was. I just thought like I wasn't like everyone else. I wasn't saying these things just to be heard. I thought people were saying them just to be heard. But now I truly think that I haven't fully gone through a grieving process for him passing. I haven't fully accepted it inside of me. In my mind, I have, but I haven't fully verbally said it out loud, had that talk of like, you're gone, this is it, we're done, um, in the physical form. And also, I haven't gone and had that one-on-one conversation with the embodiment of who he is and me here in the moment of all the things I wish I said to him and all the things I wish I had done and kind of like come clean um, about what my thoughts were of being his son and him being my father and everything. 'Cause we didn't have those conversations when he was alive. And I really wish I had the balls at that time to do that. I wish I had the courage to go into that uncomfortable conversation because it is uncomfortable for me. And I think he would have done better than I would have. He was open to thinking and thought process and going through things methodically. Um, and I know he would have been down for it. I just didn't want to do it because I don't think I wanted to tell him that I saw him noticing failure in me. I don't think he thought I was a failure, but he really did at some point think you're not going to do what's needed to be done to become an athlete like you say you were going to be. And that was hard. I couldn't admit that. Um, And I still have a hard time admitting that now, and he's not even here. So, to the point of this conversation is no, I haven't fully grieved. I haven't allowed myself to openly admit everything that I wish I had said to him um, when he was alive, even now when he's gone. And things I don't know how to do that, but maybe at the same time, maybe I do. Last night, I went and thought about that question in the podcast as I was reading in bed. Just thought about it. I didn't think I was going to go into an emotional place, but I thought about it. And then I looked over at his picture and then said, Dad, I think you'd be proud. No, I know you'd be proud of what I'm doing here. And then I said, I remember when you would look at the old blogs, and that's when I started tearing up. And instead of stopping, like I have done every other single time when I've come to a point of grief, I guess you would call it, uh, around this situation, I just kept talking. And I allowed the floodgates to open up, and I allowed myself to say things that I haven't said out loud before. And I cried. I cried those ugly tears where like your mouth and face open up, and it looks like you're yelling. Yeah, that was. It wasn't just like weeping; it was full on body clenched emotions, and it kept going. I was amazed at how long it kept going. And I kept talking and I kept saying these things. I guess that is the first step for me in my grieving process. What surprised me was this morning when I woke up, I wrote this journal document entry. And halfway through, when I talked about the part where I talked about him remembering how he read the blogs, I started tearing up again. This time I stopped myself because I wanted to get some work done and I didn't want to fully break down and go back to bed. But that was two times within a 10-hour window, two separate days, that I allowed myself to feel the emotions. And I think that's what it boils down to for me, and I'm assuming a lot of other people, is opening up those walls and feeling the emotion, good and bad, around someone leaving you or some other bad thing happening in your life. And now I'm quite positive that I haven't done that to the point that I need um, to fully not move on. I don't want to move on from his situation and being gone, but to move on to a place maybe more of an acceptance, maybe more of a place of ad- admittance. Like this, if I'm able to do this, when I do this, I believe this will help me in other areas of my life that I'm too afraid and too worried about talking and opening up about. It could be a catalyst in many things. And it also could be a catalyst for me saying these things to my mother. You probably see behind her in the kitchen doing work. Um, I'm the same way with her, same way with my sister, and they're both alive right now. And they don't hear these things from me. And I will kick myself down and down and down if they pass and I haven't done it yet. However, I'm very afraid of having a conversation. It is not something I find easy at all. I don't know when I will. I will let you know when it does happen, because I definitely need that. I need to have that conversation with my late father, and I need to have those conversations with my mom and my sister and everyone else I love. Think about love lately and saying I love you to people and what it means. And I need to say more to people in my life that I appreciate and do love, and not be afraid of the meaning of what they think it might be. But it's just a show of appreciation and love and respect, and it just feels good to say it. So, more people that I love, I want to tell them that and tell them why, and be honest and open with them. Thank you for being part of my third almost shed of tears in a 20-hour window. That is all for today on grieving. I will get back to that on another one for sure. Um, I need to go to my therapist for that one. I should have had that conversation 2 nights ago because that obviously is a big area that needs focus. Um, Thank you. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Once again, go ahead and follow me at Hi Tall Paul's Life on Twitter and Instagram. And weareneveralone.co is the website with all my mental health help content. Some fun stuff coming up with that. In the review area, we're going to start reviewing satellites, helping with the end of this winter for some people and preparing for the fall of next year. So there's some crazy cool lights coming. I'm going to try to make it as engaging, informational, and exciting for people. Keep it on brand. Make it feel like you're putting something positive into your life and not being worried about the mental health angle that you're always trying to hit. I hope that helps. I hope that makes sense. All right. I love you all.